Hey guys, Darren here. Welcome to Mayhem Country Living. Hope you guys are doing okay wherever it is that you are. Going to tell you a story. It starts out with what I'm thankful for. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be a huggy feely video. I took my car in to have it aligned. I drive a lot for work. Some weeks I drive about 1,000 miles, and that's within the state of Alabama, so I guess that would be considered local. But yeah, beside the point. I drive a lot, and I took the car in, and I said it's got a little vibration. I hit stuff on the interstate and everything, bumps and everything. Figured it needed alignment, which it did, and the guy, one of the local places, and a front end alignment at this place was $60, cash, $60, and they did a good job, and they fixed it as well as they could. Let me tell you, he said, "You know why it's vibrating?" I said, "No." He said, "Your struts are worn out." Oh, and did I tell you? He said, "Well, just drop it off, and we'll get to it. Shouldn't take but 2 hours. Took 4, but that's okay." And I said, "All right, that's fine." I said, "That'll give me time to get home." He said, "Well, you got somebody coming to pick you up?" I said, "No, sir, I'm going to walk." And he said, "About how far is it?" I said, "About 2 miles." And he laughed, old man, and he said, "Get in the truck." And so got in the truck, and we talked about grandkids and stuff like that. He's in his 70s probably, and he's owned that place for 40 years. And Murphy's Auto Center in Brent, Alabama. If any of you ever go down this way, he's a good, honest fellow. And he said, "If you don't have a ride back, just call me." He said, "You don't have to walk." I said, "Okay." And so, and he said, "You're right, it's about 2 miles." I said, "Well, yeah, it's a good walk." But so I called him this afternoon. They had it fixed. He said, "I got to tell you," he said, "your front struts are pretty bad. They're worn out." He said, "We aligned it as best we could, and that'll take care of it, but you're going to have front struts." I said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, how much are they?" And he said, I don't really remember." He said, I'll have to look it up and get you a price on it if you want me to do it." I said, "Okay." He said, I did think to look up prices on tires." He says, "But you don't need tires yet until you get the front struts taken care of, because it'll just eat them up." And and so we talked about that. And he said, "Oh, by the way, your right rear tire has thread showing on it." I said, "You're kidding." And he said, "Nope." He said, "That's because of the struts." And I said, "Okay, no problem." I said, "Well, I don't have the money right now. I won't have the money until I get I said, I get paid once a month, bills and everything come out. And I said, I just don't have an extra however much right now." He said, "No worries, no problem." He said, if you bring it to us and do the tires and everything, if we have to do a realignment, we won't charge you." I said, "Oh, that's great." And he said, "Tires will be $450. I said, "Okay." So I have no idea how much the struts are. I looked them up at Rock Auto, and it looks like something I can do myself. So maybe. I don't love automotive stuff anymore. I don't really like turning wrenches that much anymore, but I do, when I need to. And he said, "What all do you do?" And I told him what I did and how much I drive. He says, "You could have had a blowout at any time on that rear tire, which isn't as bad as the front tire." He said, "But you could have had a bad wreck because that thing's showing fibers." I said, yeah, I reckon I could." And so we got to just talking and everything, and came and picked me back up went and paid the $60 to have the front end aligned, and it drives a whole lot better, I will say. But he said, you know, just he said, you got to get it taken care of soon. And I said, well, you know, okay, I'll do it as soon as I can. He said, no problem. That's no problem at all. Just come on down. He said, or if you need us to, you know, we'll drive you back home, whatever. And a local mechanic. And it is probably going to cost me, I don't know, $1,000 for struts and new tires, something like that. If I do it myself, maybe a little bit more. A little bit more. I don't know. But I have to say, you know, I'm thankful that I have to pay the $1,000 because I did not wreck. And with everything going on at home, that's the last thing we would need, is some sort of claim or some sort of wreck or injury, or I can kill myself. I guess if I kill myself, I'd take care of the car problem and she gets insurance, but it's not really ideal for me. You know, for me, that's not what I'm shooting for. But I have to say, I'm thankful. There you go. That's it. That's it for this video. Take care of you people, guys.